Thank you, Leah. So I'm going to share with you some things about governance, not just about the EOS mainnet, but also more generically about decentralized projects in general, including future projects like Worbly, Telos, Ono, all of the many future chains we can expect to come rising up out of the EOS ecosystem, maybe something you'll start someday. So first off, what is governance? Governance is a system of making collective decisions. When you and a bunch of friends, like 20 of you, all decide we're going to go order some pizzas, and then you have to fight over like what pizza order to place, you're engaged in governance because you're making a collective decision amongst the 20 of you. And when one of you says, screw this, I'm getting Chinese, you have opted out of governance when you do this. But it's not just the making of the decision, it's also carrying out the decision. It's not enough to make it, you have to actually do it transparently, verifiably. And then to tweak the decision-making rules. So majority rule this time, we didn't like that, we're going to go with a 2/3 majority next time. Who knows how we're going to organize ourselves, but all that is governance. For example, if you wanted to change the EOS inflation rate, and then after voting on it to actually make the code changes required to change inflation, and then if you amended the rules for how we vote on inflation. At one point, Larimer suggested making an 85% supermajority for inflation change. We did not include that. As I was exploring this space, I ran into this book called The Calculus of Consent. And The Calculus of Consent is a 1962 book that contains stuff that nobody in blockchain governance has been talking about, which I find criminally wrong. And so what's a constitution? We all think we know this, right? Because we have one. Maybe several if you live in a state as well as a country, right? I don't know if you know that over half the countries in the world between 1970 and 1989 changed their constitutions out completely. Half the countries in the world. We love constitutions, we humans. So constitution is any agreement, and here I'm being abstract and blockchainy now, whether we unanimously and freely enter into, whereby we agree to give the group that we are creating the power to, number one, reach less than unanimous decisions. Because if we want to have unanimous decisions, we don't need a constitution for that, we just do it. With a constitution, you are saying, I'm willing to lose the vote and have to go along with the majority on specific topics and using different decision mechanisms for different types of decisions. Right? So to change the tax rate in Oregon, you need actually a supermajority in the House of Representatives. You require, the Oregon Constitution doesn't let a mere majority decide on tax increases. Here's a core concept for you. There are three basic buckets for human action in this context. Number one, individual action. I put out my own fires. Unless there's a law against that, I can always do that. Number two, I can have a private association. My friends and I, we're going to collectively agree to put out each other's fires. Again, unless there's a law preventing it, well, that's always available to you. But then there's a third class of activity, the public or collective activity, whereby my neighbors and I agree to create a government that can create and compel us to fund a fire department. That's the third bucket. And that bucket is only available under a constitution, which means on a blockchain that is governed.